Welcome to Room for Rent, episode, I don't even know, 22. I do this every time now because I don't keep track. It's 22 or 23. We took a small hiatus, but I'm here today with comedian, director, and podcast host Josh Edelman. Woo. Josh, yay. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
We talked last week when I booked you, and you said you had some roommate stories, but I don't know what any of them are. Usually, people.
Do you like you're prefaced before normally? People tell you, they give you
Sometimes I like to come in cold because I like to have a real reaction to what everything is you're saying and what's happening, and react in real time because I think it makes it better. But you didn't say anything. You're just like, yeah, I got some.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, okay. And sometimes, I trust you. We don't know each other that well, but I do trust you.
Slight concern of them watching this, but I don't give a shit.
That's okay.
I don't give a shit.
Here's the thing.
You did these things.
You
did these things. Whichever camera.
But the other thing is, if they are mad about it, then it gives you space to talk about it, and then you can maybe resolve the issues as an adult because of a podcast.
What can I ask you? And I'm sure you already just talked about it on this. What inspired that? Did you have your own? Has there been a Maria Bruggere? Is it Bruggere or Bruggere?
It's Bruggere.
Maria Bruggere. Yeah. OG roommate situation that inspired the show.
So Did
you do a solo show?
I have not done a solo show. I should probably do one, or I should have somebody like you who's an actual podcast host come on and do a vice versa. But I've talked about it a little bit, but I have had a lot of roommates. So I've lived in LA off and on for 10 years.
Almost impossible. Here's one thing I always say about Los Angeles. Unless you're filthy rich, you're sacrificing something.
100%.
There's no living situation in Los Angeles where you're not sacrificing something to be 100%. Where you are.
And I won't sacrifice air conditioning anymore. Therefore, I will have a roommate.
I feel like my house right now is perfect.
Yes.
If it had central air.
Oh.
I have the air conditioning units, but it's not the same.
It's not. It's so noisy.
It's noisy.
It's so noisy to have AC.
But I don't even care about the noise. I can zone out the noise. I just want it cool. I just want it temperature control.
What's your ideal temperature?
I'm a high 60s guy. Both outside and inside.
You should live with my roommate right now.
I like high 60s. I like it a little chilly. When I was in Edinburgh during the summer, it was one of the things I noticed was the weather here right now is fucking perfect.
It is.
It was
100%.
68 every day.
100%.
And I was like, this is all I want.
Yeah, this is the way LA used to be when people were making agencies called 72 and Sunny because that was perfect LA
now
weather.
It's literally 81 goddamn degrees outside right now.
It's 81 and smoggy.
81 and polluted.
Yeah, no, you should live with my roommate right now because she likes to have it at 68, 69. And for me, that's just cold enough to wake me up out of my sleep.
She'll
turn it down in the
cold.
morning.
See, I love it super cold when I'm sleeping.
I like cold. I don't like so cold that it wakes me up because I think we're in the ice age now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Do you have a weighted blanket?
I have had a weighted blanket in my life, and it literally makes me body sore. Have you ever?
I dated a girl with a weighted blanket. I'm not.
It's not. I don't think it's healthy.
I'm not weighted blanket rich.
I don't think it's healthy. No, I got one at Target for it was on sale or something. But no, I sleep with a sheet, a blanket that's actually an electric blanket, so in the winter I will turn it on, and that's the best way to get into bed.
I see these new beds that athletes are promoting that have temperature control in the bed. Another thing, I can't even afford a weighted blanket, let alone this temperature controlled.
No, I have an electric.
let alone the electricity costs for this temperature controlled bed. But man, do I want one of those. That's a rich person fantasy.
Oh yeah, the ones that get cooler and warmer. Yeah, but I just have the electric blanket, which I think is a fire hazard, which is fine. And then I have a quilt because I'm a quilt. I'm not a comforter person.
Does the electric blanket cool? Is that it's a heating?
No. It's just for heat. So I only use it in the winter. But it's a nice blanket. And then I have a quilt, and then I have a Costco fleece blanket on top because I have a dog that sleeps with me, and so I put it on that, so it's like easy.
And your
to
relationship
wash.
with your roommate, minus the liking it's 69 degrees in the house, is good otherwise.
Mostly good. She cooks a lot of salmon, and I'm not a salmon person,
that's
so sometimes
bad.
I come home and like I don't know if she's ever watching this. Like I don't hate her or anything. She's a great person, but the salmon thing kills me because I've never liked salmon, and so that's like the one smell where I'm like, oh fuck, she made salmon, and it's 68 degrees, so I feel like I'm literally in a river with fish.
I do feel like I've ultimately figured out how to best get along with your roommates, because I have two right now. I live with Naz Janice and Reed Brackenberry.
You really?
Yeah.
You live with like the most chill person and the most insane person.
Here's
like,
what's funny. Here's what's
in
funny.
terms of what I know from as an outsider.
Here's what's funny. I'm wondering who you consider which.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I would consider Reed to be chill, and Naz to be less chill. But that's because of what I've seen of. They're both comedians, and that's what I've seen of them on stage.
So here's the funny thing about Naz. I joke that with Naz, I didn't gain a roommate. I just lost a room, because Naz pretty much stays in his room when he's not out of the house. So it's like every once in a while I see him like lurking to the bathroom like late at night.
That's my roommate.
And Naz is actually very chill as a roommate. But I actually quit my high-paying job and then decided I needed to take on another roommate, because I was basically renting a room to read and paying for the rest of this house.
Wow. And do you regret that decision, or are you
No,
happy with it?
so
You're happy with it. Oh,
I've-
good.
Again, I question if I brought new girls over to my house, if I would even tell them about Naz. That's how little he comes out of the room.
Yeah.
I'd just be like, don't go in there.
Yeah. No, that's how I feel about my roommate now, because she goes to work and she comes home and she's like in her room and she has a TV in there, so she's
If
good.
Reed left, I'd basically feel like I lived alone.
Yeah, that's great. That's the perfect roommate.
But so then with Reed, because like Naz doesn't cook, Naz like doesn't use anything. It's kind of amazing. But with Reed will like.
So what you're saying is he has depression.
Naz?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I always think.
More
Is people who spend
more than
so
he's
much
just
time.
hungover up until he goes to work.
Yeah, well,
so
that's
maybe an
partially true.
alcoholic.
Yeah, alcoholism. Yeah.
But Reed and I have like slightly different lifestyles, which could clash. But my attitude, which I've adopted through, I've had so many roommates, and my basic attitude right now is just don't complain about anything. If something bothers you, do
Yeah.
it. If they don't do their dishes and you want their dishes done, just do them.
Yes.
Just do them. It's easier to do their dishes than to fight with them to do their dishes.
100%. And I think as you get older, you're an older person with roommates, as awful as that sounds, that is the easier thing. Because my roommate right now is quite a bit younger than me. And there are certain things that I can just tell she hasn't learned yet, because she hasn't lived with enough people. She's not old enough. There's just things she doesn't care about yet. And like by the time she's in her mid-30s, she will probably care about them more, or she'll become sloppier and more disgusting.
I just want to say, Reed does generally do his dishes, but if he like didn't and I want him done,
Yeah, so what are
I'll
the things...
just do them instead of like getting upset. Whereas in the past, I've lived with people who want everyone to live up to their standard.
Yes.
And what I find is it's like, just have your standard and make the house your standard.
But I want to know what's different between you and Reed, where you guys kind of...
He's a little younger than me. So I just redid the whole house. I was on the show Laugh Cry DIY with Katie French, really great YouTube show. It's basically
cool.
like a house remodeling thing.
Like remodeling, or Reed does like interior design?
Interior design.
Okay, so you're not like knocking
no,
down
no,
walls.
No. But it was intense. Like if you watch the show, the makeover was intense. Wow. And I'd be like, "Isn't this great, Reed?" And he's like, "I don't really care about design." And I'm just kind of like, if you saw the before and after of what my house is, to be like, I don't really care about design. It's like, kind of made my blood boil when he said that. I'm like, you go bring a girl back to the cat piss couches, the fucking nightmare world that was our house before I did this. And it's just like.
So is he just a real man in that sense, where you go in his room and the walls are bare and the bed barely has a fitted sheet on it?
He has his style. He has his style.
Okay.
It's kind of like It's kind of like a Nickelodeon style. I'd call it. If you go into, he's got a big.
So is he a pedophile?
Maybe
Like,
I'm
what
just
is
saying.
it?
Maybe I'm just saying that because he's got a big orange couch in there in his room.
In his room?
In his room, an orange futon.
Do
It
you
used
think
to be
that's
his
his
bed when he
kink
lived in a
is like
smaller
fucking
bed.
on an orange couch, and that's why he has it? Because that's.
I don't know. I think.
Yeah, now you're gonna hear things. You're gonna be like, she was right.
But no, just slightly different. But Reed moved in during the pandemic. We both got dumped with like in a week of each other, and
It's a little
man,
bromance.
yeah, love Reed, lifesaver.
He's very funny.
It was very. I was like very lonely feeling during the pandemic, just like being in my house, and great having like a friend.
Yeah, for sure. Being alone in the pandemic, that would probably be the one time where everyone's like, yeah, I wish I had a roommate.
Exactly. It was nice. I mean, depends, again, wish you don't.
Yeah.
Depends on how you're getting along with
I
them.
stayed with my mom a lot during the pandemic, so we got along really well, but like that's the idea. I think staying with family during the pandemic, if you could do it by choice and not by force, was the best scenario. Because you're sort of used to being stuck with them from being a kid. But
as far as getting into like the bad situation, I've had some real horror stories.
yeah, well, I'm glad to hear you're in a good situation now and you live
Yes.
with comedians
Yes.
and like
and I get along with
that
them.
can be a nightmare too. Like the comedians can be. I've never lived with a comedian, but just what I know based on general hygiene of comedians,
I was
it would
worried
be bad.
about Reed. I also have my own bathroom.
Oh,
it makes a
that's-
big difference.
Yeah.
Like,
I wouldn't. I'm not sharing bathrooms. With
well,
you
Reed
all
and
at this
Reed and
point in
Naz
my
have
life.
to share a bathroom in my place, but I made sure to have my own. Like that was the big. That's like really.
Are you in a house or an apartment?
House.
Oh, that's nice.
So again, everything's great. I'm in this great house in this horrible neighborhood where I like. When I was in Edinburgh, I would walk 3 miles home at like 2 a.m. through empty parks and things.
Wow.
Felt totally safe. When I got back to LA, like my first night back, I wanted to go grab something at the gas station around the corner. I walked out, looked at someone like lurking down the sidewalk, and I was like, nah.
Really?
Wouldn't walk 200 feet. Wouldn't walk 200 feet.
Were you living in
after.
South Central?
No, I live in Hollywood, but it's hell. I got mugged. My car's been stolen. I've been assaulted.
All in
I've
Hollywood?
had my car broken into.
You've been assaulted in Hollywood?
Oh yeah.
What happened?
This was during the pandemic. I was walking home from a hike down Hollywood Boulevard, texting someone, and just a crazy person just ran up and decked me in the face.
Oh my God. Was it a homeless person? Or do you know?
Think homeless looking.
Out of his mind.
Homeless
no matter
presenting.
What. Wow.
I couldn't tell if he was like trying to like punch me so that I dropped my phone and he could steal it or what.
Or if you just thought maybe you're somebody else or something.
I do a joke, but it's a true story. This is how like fucked in the head I was by the pandemic and neurotic and like rule following. When the guy punched me, like my just instinctual reaction was, "Hey, 6 feet, asshole." That's what I said, like instinctually
That's
to
funny.
him.
Did you have a mask on and everything, or were you?
Yeah,
just like,
yeah, I was like crazy.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's funny.
I was very determined to get to the vaccine without.
Oh yeah, weren't
without
we
getting
all?
sick.
I mean,
not everyone.
I know, but I feel like rational people.
Well, I always
were.
say it's funny. I got accused at the beginning of the pandemic of calling the cops on open micers that were doing. Someone like accused me of this, and I'm like,
well, there was a comic that was doing that.
yeah. Well, here's what I said is I was like, anyone who knows me knows I'd never do anything to get in the way of other comics killing themselves. I wouldn't.
Jesus.
Like-
That's true.
I was like,
You're just cynical enough. You're like, let them die.
Thin out the herd,
Yeah.
baby.
Oh my God.
Survival of the fittest.
Okay,
and
so
then
you're-
none of them died. It was
Yeah. Well,
real
let's
disappointing.
well, give it time. Suicide is inevitable for some of these
It'll
people.
get 'em.
I shouldn't say that, but it's true. So let's get into your bad roommate situations. Are you starting from like college? Are you just doing LA? Because where are you from originally?
Well, I can tell you, this is what I think is the best story of like just a moment where I realized what a terrible situation I was in.
Okay.
It was when I first moved into the current house I'm living in.
Okay.
I moved in with 2 friends of mine and like one of their sisters. And I was very close with one of the friends, didn't know the other one that well. And when we first moved in, like everyone moves in, we put all our stuff in our room, and outside of the friend who I didn't know that well, he had a bunch of boxes just sitting outside his door, like in the common area. And I was like, hey, dude, just signed a lease with these people. Hey, dude, can you like put those boxes down in the storage unit we have connected to our house? And he's like, no, I don't want to put them there. It's dirty in there. And I was like, oh, okay, well, can you put them in your room then? He's like, no, I don't really have space for them in there. And I'm just like, it's just like, so you want to just leave them in the middle of the hallway? I was like, it's just this moment where you realize I'm in a year-long lease with this person, and it was like,
how long had you known these people before you moved in with them? So
he was better friends with my other friend who I had lived with. So the other friend was this girl who I lived with for 4 years prior to that, and then 3 years after that.
So it was guy, girl, one person's sister.
Girl's sister.
Okay, so
two girls,
two guys. Got it.
Me and the girl, we lived together for a total of 7 years.
Wow, and just friends.
Just friends, but
crazy.
It got to a point where I would describe our relationship as like a loveless marriage. It just
like codependent, maybe.
I don't know. It just like there's nothing bad, but we don't talk anymore. But we were very good friends. Just kind of happens.
Are you still friends?
Not really.
So the same as it was before.
What do you mean?
Well, you're like a loveless marriage. It's like, are you still friends? Well, not really. Well, that's a loveless marriage.
Yeah. Just kind of like lived together for so long that it just kind of like it. I don't know. Just like I don't know how to describe it other than when you live with someone for that long, it feels like a relationship. Yes. On a certain level.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, I think if you were fucking, you're like in like a legal, what do they call it? Something marriage.
I don't know.
There's like a law.
Marriage.
Like, no. You don't get
like common law
marriage or something. Yeah.
Or like a domestic partnership.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we had like a fight when she moved out, but it's fine. We're fine. We've seen each other.
Yeah. Is she a comic as well?
Not stand up.
So like improv or something.
Yeah.
Got it. So the guy left his boxes in the hallway.
That was just kind of like the start.
Did he ever move them the whole year you lived together?
So she hated him like very quickly. I think like once that happened, in my head I'm like, oh fuck, we're gonna have to deal with this. And in her head she's like, I hate him.
But she's the one that knew him better than
originally.
You did.
Yeah.
And so
we kind of needed another person to afford the house at the time.
Yeah.
And he seemed like a good choice, and then it just.
But did she not realize that he would be a bad roommate? I feel like you can tell. You know, like you go through like, this is how I want to live. This is how you want to live.
No, but here's the thing. Here's what I think's crazy. Here's what I think's crazy. There have been so many times where like I thought me and Reed would not get along as roommates when he moved in, and we really did. But I thought we wouldn't. And then there are plenty of times I'm constantly wrong. What I find is people will present differently. It's like dating when you're meeting somebody who it's like here's the person I'm going to pretend to be for you until like enough time goes by that I can let out the monster I really am.
At least you can admit to being wrong though.
That's the thing. I feel like when somebody when you see someone and you like think about them like as having flaws right away, that's probably because they're presenting their authentic self. If someone comes in and they seem good, there's probably something that they're not telling you.
Yeah. Or you have to start going like, I don't want this. Or like like at some point you have to show the negatives. Like, I don't want to live with somebody who does drugs, or I don't want to live with somebody who's dirty. And if they just keep going, yeah, I'm all these things, and you go, well, how clean are you? Like, what, like, you used to have to start giving them scenarios and stuff. So clearly you didn't do that with this guy.
Well, no, what I ended up doing was I, like, came up with that he could put his boxes above these things in our kitchen, which, like, he agreed to, but I'm just like, and then the next thing that happened is he went away for, like, close to a month, which was great. Everything was
wow.
great in the house. And when he was coming back, we were throwing a 4th of July party at the house. And it was kind of like everyone agreed we'll like split the cost for it. He was in on doing it. And so while he was gone, we kind of like got the decorations and like the alcohol and everything for it. And when he got back, he's like, I don't really like the day. He just started like complaining about everything. He took no part in.
But what difference does it make? It's just a party. It's gonna happen.
I know, but
it's
like it was just kind of like very quickly like, oh God, this is gonna be terrible. So eventually, fortunately, he wasn't on the lease.
Oh, so he just paid you guys?
Yeah, which actually, like in a kind of way, was sort of like. We knew that when we went to meet the landlord that we had a feeling that she wouldn't like him. So me and the other person went without him, just us, because we knew.
Here's what I don't understand.
How we knew that, but like.
Yeah, you're like, oh, the landlord's not going to like him, but we think he's going to be okay.
Well,
that's your own personal red flag.
But can I? So, for example, Naz.
Yes.
Great roommate. Naz so far one of the best roommates I've ever had. I would not bring Naz to meet the landlord.
Yeah, but Naz has a certain level of charisma where he could win somebody over.
But I don't
want to
try. I don't want to try and have Naz win over this 90-year-old woman who owns the house.
That's probably the one thing I would trust Naz to do.
She sees his long hair and his heavy metal and just like looks at him and goes, no, I don't want to rent to these people.
I don't know.
She was very finicky. I'm telling you. Like I'm just saying this. I'm saying I wouldn't have brought Naz either.
Interesting. Okay.
So,
I still think it's a red flag, but go on.
It's a red flag against Naz, but I'm saying no different.
No, not against Naz, against the other
this guy I thought was really cool. I really got along with as a friend. The way he presented himself was not like, in my opinion, presentable to this particular very finicky old woman landlord that I knew because I knew the people that lived there before.
What did he do for work, this guy?
I don't remember. I don't
Or was that insignificant?
It wasn't that insignificant.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think he was like an assistant to some.
What was in those
writer.
boxes? Like,
I don't know. He never touched them.
Dead bodies.
Yeah, who knows? Why couldn't you put him in the basement where everyone else put all of their stuff?
He didn't want anything to happen to whatever was in there. That seems.
It seemed like some sort of power move, honestly. Just like the move when he came back was like, I don't like the decorations.
Yeah, I could get it. Or just somebody who's unaware of just their general actions.
But like, it's like yeah.
Like
but
sometimes a power move is accidental unawareness.
Well, okay, but fine. So cut to, my roommate is like, the girl I'm living with is like, I'm gonna move out if we don't get rid of him. It's like, you don't have to get rid of him, but I'm just kind of like, no, I'd way rather live with you than him. And I'm like, here's the deal. We kind of like did this backhanded lease thing. Let's just let him stay for the year, and we'll like give him the full year and tell him he has to move out. And I said, we'll tell him 3 months before, and maybe he'll just leave. Because if you kicked me out of a house, if you made me feel like I wasn't wanted there, I would be out as fast as fucking possible.
Yeah, because you would feel uncomfortable.
I'd feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be there. When I told him he had 3 months, he didn't finish moving out till midnight of the last day. He made sure to like suck up every moment.
Was he mad?
Yeah. Nobody's ever taken the you need to leave well.
Yeah, but sometimes people will be like, yeah, okay, it's for the better. Like after it kind of settles in,
I'd be mad if I was kicked out and then I'd leave. I'd hate them and plot my revenge, but I'd get out of there. It's crazy to just soak in, and he just let it was like his revenge.
Yeah.
His like last 3 months.
What else?
Just the house turned into an utter disaster.
So the last 3 months of a year lease.
One other thing that I just can never forget is he was the only. I eat eggs now, but I didn't eat eggs then.
I hate eggs.
And
I hate them.
He was the only person in the house that ate eggs. And there was like this just rotting cast iron skillet in the sink, covered in eggs. And I was like, hey, man, can you get that? He's like, that's not mine.
What?
Yeah. He'd just be like, that's not mine.
That's the other smell I don't like. My roommate does make eggs.
But
a lot,
I'm just
and it's
like,
so gross.
I'm like, you know, you're the only person in this house that cooks eggs.
Did you ever say like, hey, I know you're full of shit, like clean the pan?
Yeah, but it's just like
I would get to a point where I'd be like, look, dude, we all know what you're doing here. We're not.
I made my other roommate locked herself in her room, wouldn't even come out of her room for basically a year while he was there.
The one you were in a loveless marriage with.
Yes. I was just like, I'm just gonna deal with this and I'm gonna kick him out. And then when I kick him out, that'll be that, and he'll be gone, and I just have to suffer this until then. I'll just clean the pan, and I'll be rid of him.
So you were constantly cleaning this guy's cast iron pan because you didn't want to just be like, hey, I know you're lying.
Oh, the house turned into such a disaster that I just kind of let everything be a disaster for a long period of time. Just knowing eventually it would be over.
Yeah. I lived in places like that where like the common areas just become such a war zone that you're just like, forget it. I'm just going to exist in my room. I won't do that anymore.
No, now
I won't.
But also I'm not living with like a sociopath anymore.
That you know of.
that I know of.
Yeah.
Everyone gets along real well.
So does everybody where you live now keep the common areas pretty clean?
I just do. I mean, yeah, they don't.
Do you guys cook?
You know what it is? I just pretty much clean it every day.
Do? You personally?
Not like I don't like vacuum and like wipe things down every day, but if there's shit out, I just put it away. So it never gets to that point.
Yeah. But if you didn't do it, it would be.
It would probably
messy.
add up, and then there'd be a day where we'd like clean it. But I just like having it clean now, so I just do it every day.
But that's what I don't understand is people who.
It never gets out of hand enough.
They'll wash their dishes, but they won't clean anything else in the kitchen. That's kind of what I'm dealing with now.
Yeah, I like wipe down the counter.
Yeah, always wipe down the counter, especially if you have a counter where people might like eat lunch there or like work from that space. Like it's not just where the sink is or I don't get it. Like just clean up after yourself. We're adults.
But it makes me happy if the house is clean, so I just try to keep it clean.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
So that was... That was him. I had another situation where I had to kick somebody out.
Before
once.
or after the
this
one
is
you
before.
just told? Oh, wow.
And this was a bad situation
Also
the way
in
around.
LA?
Also in LA. So I've lived in 2 places in LA. This was the first place I lived in LA.
Okay.
The house is
so
where
we're going
I live now.
backwards.
We're going backwards. So I went in 2014. I went to Europe for like 3 months. And while I was gone, I had a friend who I subleased my room to who like came to LA to like take the bar exam and stuff. And it was supposed to be that like when I got back, he was going to have a new place to live and he was going to move out and I was going to get my room back. So I actually want to get your opinion on this because I ended up having a problem with 2 people in this house.
Oh.
So it was originally supposed to be just 3 people in the house. And then...
and you had leased your room out to the guy taking the bar.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
So he was coming into a situation with 2 people.
2 other people.
Living there. Okay.
And then I was like friends with one person who had been living there the longest with me. And then another person who moved in was a person who presented very well when I met him. We actually became fast friends. He actually came out to Europe for 2 weeks to hang out with me. But then when I got back from Europe, me and him just like, a switch flipped. Like to the point where I was like afraid of him. I felt like he was scary. Like I would lock my door.
But you knew him before.
I didn't know this guy before. So this is not the lawyer guy.
But you were living with him before you went to Europe.
Yes.
Then you went to Europe. Then he met you there. You had a good time
we had
in
a
Europe.
great time.
Did you do drugs?
No.
Because sometimes that fucks with people.
No, actually,
and then you came back and
here's
he was
what
different.
happened that turned him on me, and I want to get your philosophical perspective on this.
Okay, we'll see about that.
So I had been living in the house for years before he came.
Okay.
The rent had been like raised on us. Somebody moved out. I put an ad out for his room at this is what I'm charging for somebody to move in to this room. when I was gone after he had gotten back, but I was still gone, he found out that I was paying less, not significantly less, but less for my room than his room, despite mine being a little bit bigger. And that's like, he's like, that's not fair. I should be paying, I shouldn't be paying more for this room. And I'm like, yeah, but I put out an ad for someone to pay this amount of rent for this room that I had. It wasn't like we all moved in together and I pulled some fast and loose trick.
Yeah.
Should I be allowed to do that?
Did he get any other amenities with that cost? Like sometimes you might take the smaller room, but you get the parking space, or you get your own bathroom, or were there any other...
Well, I mean,
things?
all the furniture around the house was mine.
Even in his room?
No, not his room, but like,
his room
the
was all
common
his own
area,
furniture.
the TV, everything.
Yeah.
You didn't have to like bring any things in.
That's tough. Because I would say if you listed it and he didn't, when you guys interviewed to move in, he didn't ask you, like, is it split 50-50 or whatever? Like, I think most people would assume that if it's that it's being split 3 ways equal or 2 ways equal, because that's generally what happens unless otherwise stated. So my guess is that's what he assumed.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah. And then he found out you were how much, what was the difference? Like $50?
50 to 100, something.
I mean, 100's not nothing, because that'd be $1,200 over the course of a year.
Here's my point. I've definitely 100%. I lived in New York for 8 years and moved 12 times in those 8 years.
Jesus.
Because New York's not rent controlled, so you can be living somewhere and they're like, okay, your rent's now $1,000 more a month,
Jesus.
so you have to move every time your lease is up.
Wow.
Yeah, it's fucked up. But I have 110% been the person paying like way more than my roommates for like a room that I moved into.
But did you know that, or
it was never said,
assume?
but I just assume, I don't know, when you see an ad that says, hey, this room for this price, you go, okay, that looks good and I can afford it. That's how I view it.
I mean,
everyone else's business is not your business, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I would say if he agreed to it when he moved in and he didn't ask questions, then he's stuck with that price. Like, I don't think he can renegotiate after that point.
That was the deal. That was what that room.
I think
that's what I needed someone to take that room for.
Yeah, I think if he questions it and goes, "Hey, how come you're paying less?" then you can justify. You can say, "Well, it's my furniture, it's my TV, it's my kitchen stuff, like whatever you want to do."
That's what I needed to charge for that.
Whatever.
It wasn't like so dramatic per month.
No, but I'm just saying, if you felt the need to justify it, I think you could. Like, I split, my roommate and I, we split our rent 50-50, but all of the...
Did you guys move in together?
No, I've lived there for 5 years, and she's my 4th roommate.
Okay.
So, and I've had great roommates in that space.
I actually am I'm split evenly with Naz and Reed.
Yeah, so we're split evenly, but like everything in the living room is mine. The couch, the rug, the TV, like all the streaming channels or whatever on the TV, like anything you would use in there is all mine. She brought her own plates. She has a couple pans and a couple other like random things, and then obviously her food. But everything else is mine. Like, I have a whole set of pots and pans. I have a whole set of plates. Like, if somebody didn't have plates, they wouldn't have to buy plates, or like they wouldn't have to buy cups. So when people move in, I'm like, hey, I have space for you to have stuff, but you don't need to buy stuff, or you don't need to bring duplicates or whatever. But I don't then charge them more rent. I mean, I suppose I could, because they're also getting their own bathroom and bedroom. Are you the only person that really deals with
the landlord and like any problems at
the house? No, we're both on the lease. Yeah, I mean, I would like, say like if a light bulb goes out, we have it's in a development, and so we have like a maintenance person that comes in. So like if a light goes out or the dishwasher stops working or whatever, I always put in the request. They have full access to do that. But they never do it.
Same thing, exactly. When I was in that house, I was like, everyone was on the lease, but I was like the house. Anything went wrong, it was like me that had to deal with it. I got the whole carpet redone and everything.
Wow.
I just felt like I'm in charge of this place. I've been here the longest.
Yeah.
I've set it up. This is what I need someone to take that room for, so I don't have to move.
Yeah. I mean, I think you have to do whatever works for you. I don't think I could charge.
But the level of like hatred that became directed at me afterwards. Like the
So did he find that out after he got back from Europe with you?
Yeah. Because there was because the land leasing agency, like my other roommate missed paying the rent. And they sent a thing to everyone being like, we didn't get this. And he saw what all the rents were. Which was, again, I wasn't even trying to hide. I just didn't think anything of it.
Right, but then he sort of saw something that he would have been like, what you don't know doesn't hurt you kind of thing. Like, it's more of that than anything else.
But decided I was the devil.
I mean, I don't think it makes you like
tell
unethical.
friends of mine behind my back that would be at the house, like, you shouldn't be friends with Josh. He's a bad person. Things like that.
I had a roommate that did that in college. Yeah, she would do it. I would go hang out with these other two guys that didn't really like her that much, but she wanted to be liked by everybody, but she was just not very likable. And so she'd go to them and tell them that I was talking about them behind their back. And so they'd come to me and they'd be like, your roommate said da 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 da. And I was like, she just is mad that she's not being included in the plans. So I get it. But then were you going around doing damage control of like, hey, I'm not a bad guy. This is why he's upset?
My friends were like, hey, you know that he's saying these things about you to me? And I'm like, oh, thanks for telling me. Yeah, he's a psychopath.
Did you ever confront him?
No, I just moved out as quick as I could.
So you seem like a very non-confrontational person. Like if things happen, especially in a living space, you're like, you know what? Let me just not say anything.
I assess the value of the confrontation. I will confront if I feel like that. So, I mean, again, I kicked out 2 people. That's confrontational.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So the person I kicked out, and also part of the. He subleased for me to take the bar. I get back from Europe. He hasn't found a new place. He's like, hey, can I just crash here for a little bit longer while I look for a place? I'm like, sure. You know, he's a family friend. No problem. Starts like sleeping on the couch downstairs. Another month goes by. And I'm like, hey, so, you know, if you're going to basically live here, you should start paying a little bit of rent for
which is fair.
Living in the common area.
Yeah.
I think I charged him like $250 to $300.
Fair.
And I split that, like that reduced everyone's rent. It wasn't like I took the $300.
Sure.
Because that I could understand being.
Yeah. They're like, hey, by the way.
Yeah. No. Everyone, like, you know, split evenly. And he like got an air mattress and was like sleeping on the floor in there. And he would drive for Lyft all night long. So every day, when I would come downstairs to make breakfast, he'd just be sprawled out on the floor in the living room.
In his room.
Yeah. And I'd like start, it's like, hey, can you keep it down? I'm trying, and just like, it would like
crazy.
get under my skin just to see him passed out on the floor every day when I'd come downstairs. It's like my living room is gone.
Oh, for sure. But so did he take the bar and then decide to
Failed
stay in
it
LA?
multiple times.
Oh.
Kept studying for it, but was also...
So that's why he was staying in LA.
But was also smoking copious blunts in like nonstop smoking blunts. And I was like writing... This is like my like peak trying to write screenplays period. So I would leave the house every day to go to a coffee shop to write because like I don't want to be in my house.
Right.
And
you were in his room.
Because I was in his room. And he accused me of being the reason he was failing the bar, that like I was distracting him. Wow. I'm like, you're literally nonstop high every day.
Well, high and then driving Lyft in the middle of the night, like
all
not
night,
getting good rest.
Like
how many times did he fail the bar?
I think 3, and then passed on the 4th.
And then how long did he stay with you?
He didn't pass it until after he left the house. But so
you're like, hey, it's a bad omen for you to be here.
So he was there for 10 months.
Wow.
And when it got to month 10, again, my like year rule, I couldn't do it anymore. Plus him and the guy that like hated me had become real like friendly. And like that was like they were both rubbing me the wrong way.
And misery loves company.
And I just finally was like, well, here's what ends up being, there's a very funny ending to this whole thing, which is, well, I go to him and I go, hey man, you know, you've been in the living room for 10 months. I think 2 months is fair for you to find somewhere else to be. And he's like, cool, I understand. So I'm actually going to be going to Florida for a couple of weeks. So like if I could not pay rent for those weeks and then I'll come back and for the last month, I'm like, I don't get to call my landlord and be like, hey, I'm going on vacation, so I'm not paying rent while I'm on vacation.
Well, it would have been funny if he'd been like, hey, can I sublet the living room to my buddy so that I don't have to pay rent? You're like, yeah, it's fine. It's totally fine.
Funny. But so then he just moved out the next day.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, just got out the next day.
And you're like, if this is all it took, I would have done this a long time ago.
But like, again, I at least have respect for the fact that like, he's like, I'm not wanted here. Let me get the fuck out.
Yeah, unlike the other guy that dragged it on
Dude
for 3
literally
months.
stayed until the last minute, like no joke, he waited till midnight to walk out of the house.
Wow. So when he left, where did he go?
I don't know. He just like found some place on Craigslist like super fast.
And
I'm
you don't
and I'm
talk
like,
to
you
him
couldn't have done
anymore?
this for 10 months?
Yeah, that's crazy.
But so here's the funny thing. I had to go through and like it really, and I was close with him before like everything. But like really the kicking him out was like the final nail. And I'd run into him and we're fine. But the final nail really in our friendship coffin, about 1 month later was when my old roommate, the girl I'd used to live with that I then lived with again, found the house and we decided to move into the house. So I called him up, I'm like, hey, actually, do you want my room back? I'm moving out and it's available.
And did he do it?
Yeah, he did. He moved back into the
Aw.
house, moved back into that room.
And then the other guy that had kind of turned on you too?
Yeah, they all got to live together in their little harmony.
It's like little Sesame Street in there, all the
house.
friends. Wow. Do they still all live there?
No,
Oh.
they're all gone.
That'd be crazy if they were just like, you know what, friends for life, staying in this house. Oh my gosh. And are you from New York?
Actually, a funny thing is another comedian ended up taking one of the rooms in that house, which I found out like later. We were just talking, and he was like living with one of the roommates that I lived with then.
Oh my
my
God.
old
And how
place.
did he feel about all of that?
He hated them.
Yeah. So, I mean, the thing with comedians is like they're gonna hate most people that they live with. Like
But
you're in a good situation.
Again, I felt
now,
like
I'm
I
in a good
was.
situation.
It's like funny how like you can feel. I let him live for 10 months, and I was like, hey, 2 months to get out of here, and I'm a monster.
Well, maybe you should have been confrontational sooner.
Oh, we had plenty of confrontations. I mean,
Okay.
like me kicking him out didn't have to do with us getting along splendidly while he was in the living room. We were
so
like,
you're
we
withholding
were like
things.
generally not getting along for 10 months.
Yeah. Well, it's hard when you live in like a passive aggressive.
The whole
living
house
situation.
was so passive aggressive and unfriendly.
Where are you from originally?
Florida, Boca Raton. So not like Florida,
I forget
Florida.
that. I always think
Boca
you're from
Raton.
New York because
'Cause-
I hear you talk about when you lived in New York.
Boca Raton is the New York of Florida. It's where all the New Yorkers go to die.
Oh, really?
Yeah, everyone.
Is that the like big retirement area?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know
yeah.
Florida that
Yeah, that's the
well.
big retirement
Oh,
community.
I thought that was
where all the snowbirds go.
Oh, I thought that was a different area, like Jupiter or like.
I mean, some of them go to Jupiter, but Boca's like
okay.
the biggest one. Boca del Vista is Seinfeld is like based on where I'm from, the Florida where his parents live.
Oh, okay. So are your parents? They were there before they
So
retired.
my parents moved there from New York to be close to my grandparents who retired down there. And my dad's an
They're
eye
like,
doctor.
"Let's just get a head start
My
on this
dad's an eye
thing."
doctor, which is like good business.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
In
everybody's
Boca Raton,
blind.
so-
Oh my gosh.
And my dad hates the cold, so he wanted to snowbird early.
Yeah. How often do you go visit?
Multiple times a year.
That's good.
I'm
I don't
going
even go home that
Thanksgiving.
much anymore.
I go home at the very least every Thanksgiving, and then probably 1 or 2 more times.
Wow, that's a lot. I'm from
Yeah.
Oregon, and I'm at the point where I go home like once, maybe twice a year, and I think my parents hate it.
Well, my
They're
parents,
like, "Hey,
my
we're
parents
just
want me
right
to
up
come.
here."
My parents want me to come. Oh, they want you to come more?
Probably,
Yeah. My parents want me to come way more than I do.
Yeah.
But then I also see them in Colorado every year because I go to Colorado.
Have
for
you
the
ever
4th of
lived with
July.
your parents as an adult?
No, I almost. I came very close to going home during the pandemic. And I'm so glad I didn't.
Really? Why?
Because it just wouldn't have been good.
Really?
Yeah, I don't
Do you
think
have
so.
siblings?
Yeah, I have a younger brother. He did. He went home.
So it could have been like a nice little happy family.
No,
Parents
I don't
love
think,
that.
Yeah, I don't think. I think my parents and my brother and I all get along much better not living together.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of how it should be. Like, you shouldn't get along living together with your parents as adults.
Like when
if
I was when I was
like,
talking
ooh.
about it with them about coming back, my dad like sent me a list of rules for going. I was like, yeah, I'm not coming.
Wait. Your dad sent you a list of rules before you'd even decided if you were
Yeah,
going to
he's
do
like, if
that?
you're gonna come, these are.
What were the rules?
They were actually all very reasonable. I don't remember, but I just like even seeing the list.
Wait,
here's the
you
thing.
don't remember?
I don't.
You don't
'Cause I didn't
remember
end up-
any of
'cause
them?
Something about not yelling at them, which is very reasonable.
So no elder abuse.
Yeah.
Got it. Jesus.
I don't. You know what I say?
Do you
It's
yell
like,
at them a lot? Like to the point where they'd have to
well,
make
here's
it a
what's funny.
rule?
They say I do, but I'm just like everyone in the family yells. You guys
Yeah.
just single me out. While
Oh my gosh. No yelling.
I had
That's so funny. So
I feel like I had a really great saying for it one time, like. You're mad at me for my inability to change the way I react to your guys' inability to change.
yeah. I mean, that sounds like a millennial child.
Right?
It does. I mean,
Because
it
I'm
sounds
just,
oh,
I'm like,
okay.
it's like, we're going to keep annoying you in the way we annoy you. We just want you to stop being annoyed
Oh,
when
100%.
we do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, can't you guys also stop doing the things you do
No.
that make me react?
No, they
No. We
can't.
just want you to stop
They'll
the
never
part
stop.
that we don't like.
Yeah. So if you had moved home and agreed to the rules, but then broken a rule, what do you think would have happened?
Nothing.
Like, do you think they would have threatened to be like, "Hey, you gotta go back"?
I don't know. I don't
I can't
know.
believe that
It's
he
hard.
sent you a list
It's hard
of rules.
to even.
I'm still like processing that.
I'd rather just not live with them and get along really well.
Of course, but the hypotheticals of like moving in with your parents in your 30s during a global pandemic
Well-
and there being rules is
I mean, here's the thing I always say. Like at the end of the day, the ultimate privilege that I feel like I have, because there's lots of talk about privilege and everything, is simply the idea that I can fail wildly and be caught. Like that I can, if everything goes to shit, go back home and like stay there and like they'll let me live there and it'll be comfortable.
and you wouldn't have to pay rent.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't charge me rent.
Wow. I think even my parents would charge me rent at this point.
But that's like the ultimate. To me, that's the ultimate privilege. It's like I haven't failed spectacularly, but
Yeah.
I've definitely taken big risks in my life.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's nice to know. It makes it easier to take those risks than if you're like many of these comedians, you come from like a terrible home with like awful parents.
Yeah, but
that
they
wouldn't even let you come back.
They say that people who have a lot of privilege or come from money tend to not take as big a risks because they don't understand, like they don't have the perspective of what they could lose. And when you have nothing to lose, you have everything to gain, that you'll take a bigger risk. So do you think if you didn't have your parents to fall back on, you would have taken even bigger risks than what
I
you've
feel
done?
like I've taken every risk I've ever like thought about taking.
Okay.
I feel like that. I've spent
Yeah.
my life savings 3 times over.
Jesus. Wait, how do you do that? How do you spend it 3 times over? Do you just earn it back?
Well, I used to have a good job
Okay.
that I wore, and I would just like
What was your job? Can I?
doing like VFX for like
Oh.
commercials and
Oh wow,
big movies.
that is a good job. Yeah, yeah,
really
that's a
big
good. Yeah,
movies.
yeah. You get paid a lot to do that.
But they own your life.
Yes.
I've like twice now quit. I've twice now got to a point where I was making really good money and then immediately quit, and then started
Wow.
from scratch again because I get miserable in those jobs.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's so hard.
But I saved up a ton, and I spent like 4 years making this web series, and then I saved up a ton again, and I made my documentary that I made, and then I, went to Edinburgh. Edinburgh was a risk. I actually came out ahead financially
Really?
in Edinburgh. But
through like the ticket sales of your show that you did there, or
I lived very far away, so I paid I found a place that was the same as my rent in LA, subleased my room in LA, so that took care of my rent. I did the free fringe where I didn't have to pay for my venue. I can't charge tickets, but I can ask for donations at the end.
Oh, nice.
And then I would bark for, or as they call it in Europe, flyering. I would flyer for 3 hours before my show every day. And I sold out everyone I did that for.
Wow. And then you probably got donations on
And then
every
I would
single one.
average about 150 pounds in donations at the end of each show.
That's pretty good.
Which is like $200.
Yeah. I mean, even if you just make the money back on your flight.
And I used miles for my flights.
Ah, okay. So that's how you come out ahead.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you were making so much money that you're like, yeah,
No, but I did well.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
people that went and like performed to 3 people a day. I performed
sure.
close to 50 every day.
That's awesome. Very cool. Did you get a lot of connections coming out of that, or?
Some. I have like a guy that wants to like book me through Thailand next year, so I'm trying to go on this
I mean, a lot of people
free Thailand
like the
comedy
Thailand
tour.
Bali thing is kind of a thing. So you did your podcast show right over there, or did you do a stand-up show? Wasn't it your podcast? That you were doing live?
So I really did not want to call my show the Drew Rogan Experience because it's the name of my podcast.
Right.
But a friend of mine who had been goes, Josh, you have to call it that. You're an idiot if you don't. And
just because of the association, like if they run across it, they'll be like, "Oh,
He was right. I had so many people come because they saw the name of the show in the flyer and they're like, we have to see this. Like the name makes a big. People are trying to decide what show to go to. So if you can have anything that gives your show an edge over somebody else's, they'll pick it. People loved the name of my show, and it really helped get a lot of people in.
That's awesome. That's
so
very
it was
cool.
the right choice.
And it was stand up.
Yeah, it was my hour.
Oh, okay. So you were just did you have like an opener and a host,
Nope.
or you just did?
I just
you just
came
went
out
up cold and did your hour.
Did my hour.
Wow.
I had like an intro that set them up into it, and then
Yeah.
a closer that closed it out.
That's awesome. And how many weeks were you there?
Full month of August.
And how many times did you do the show?
So it was supposed to be 23. I definitely got COVID at one point and was like horribly sick in bed for 4 days. So I ended up doing 19, and I sold out 17.
So you ran your hour 19 times.
19
That's
times
awesome.
and sold it out 17.
That's
actually
awesome.
the 2 times I didn't sell it out. I just did crowd work for the full hour because I was sick of doing the show.
Oh, I mean, that's not a bad.
No, it was great. I had
all.
so much fun. Those were like 2 of the most.
And
fun
then were
shows.
most of the people in the audience British or English?
Yeah, or most of them were from the UK. The majority.
And what?
But there were a lot of Americans and a lot of like other Europeans.
In terms of the humor, was there anything that didn't land where you're like, this is definitely going to work, and then it didn't land because you're in another country?
I adapted things to make sense for them as much as I could if I felt like there was something that was very U.S. centered. But like, I do have a couple of jokes that aren't even political, but like make reference to like American politics, and they got it, but it didn't like hit as hard as it hits here. Like pretty much probably the 2 jokes that hit the hardest of mine in America got more lukewarm there. One of them's like about cats being Democrats and dogs being Republicans. And then I have a joke about feeling like a Republican when it comes to my hair.
Okay. I don't think I've heard either of those, but.
But they're like huge crushers here that did okay there.
Yeah. Well, I think that's because
they got it, but they were like
what it
not,
comes
like,
down to though
in
is that right now everybody thinks that we just live in a country full of stupid people, and so when you try to do stuff that's smart, they're like, eh.
It's interesting. It was very interesting to get their perspective. They just really think of us as like crazy right now.
Oh yeah.
Because last time I was in Europe was when Obama was president, and like I remember people being like, "Thank God."
Oh yeah.
Thank God you got rid of like America. They were like so welcoming, and this last time, I'm like, man, what's it like over there?
Well, because they're not sure. All they hear about are fat people, school shootings, and Trump.
Yep.
That's 3 really bad. Like
real
any of those things
3 real
separately
embarrassing
are bad. So, yeah, that's crazy. Well, we only have a few minutes left, but I have one burning question for you, and I want your opinion and your hot take on this because it's going to come out. Do you think yes or no, and why, do you think Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift will become roommates at some point?
Oh, that they'll live together?
Yeah. Do you think it'll get that far? Because I don't know that Taylor's really been living with anybody that she's dated.
Has she? Well, okay, I can't say that. I'll tell you what I can't say afterwards.
Oh, okay.
Do I think? How long do you think it takes people to move in together when they're like?
Well, I think when you're a celebrity,
I don't know if they'll ever like.
Nothing makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll ever like only have one place together. I mean, she's worth $700 million.
No. Not that they would only have one place, but like, will they make it far enough into a relationship where? I'm not. I have this hunch.
It feels like too fresh to like really know that.
It feels fresh, but I have this hunch that. And if I put this online, people are going to come for me. But I think that Taylor Swift, everybody she's ever dated has been like a media thing, and that she is not interesting enough on her own. Like, her music's fine. That's good. She's always been popular. She's always been like an artist, and she's a great songwriter. But I think as just a person, I don't think she's interesting enough to stay relevant. So she's had to date people to maintain relevancy, and that's how
Who are the other people you think she's dated for relevancy?
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh, right.
John Mayer. What, didn't she date John Mayer?
I don't know.
The last guy she dated, and then who is it? Thomas. Oh my God, I don't remember all her boyfriends. But everybody that she's
here's
dated,
how out of touch I am. I don't even know.
No, everybody she's. Oh my God, hang on, let's look, and then we have to wrap this up. But Taylor Swift's ex, she's dated everybody. But so what I think is,
I don't think she needs.
Harry Styles, Joe Jonas, Taylor Lautner, Jake Gyllenhaal, John Mayer, Calvin Harris, Joe Alwyn. I think that was the most recent guy. Tom Hiddleston, Lucas Till, Tim McGraw. I don't think she dated Tim McGraw. I don't know about a couple of these, but she's always dated people who are very, very relevant at the time that she dates them. And I think it's because she's boring. Like, she's just a nice girl. She's like a girl next door. You know, she has some charisma, but I think the level, like a ton.
I don't know. I'll tell you this. I don't think that's necessarily true that she needs to do this to stay relevant, because when I was at a sports bar watching the Dolphins game, and all of a sudden, all the women in the sports bar started screaming. And I was like, what's happening? And just Taylor Swift was on the screen at the Kansas City game.
Yeah, but that's because everything she's done up until this
like the
point
Beatles.
has kept her relevant. Yes.
I think she's
I'm not saying just dating, but that's a big...
I think she's reached the point now where she's like bigger than that.
Did you see that Travis Kelce's jersey sales went up 400%?
I think Travis Kelce might be.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, but Taylor Swift is
move on his part.
Taylor Swift's also going to boost women's interest in football.
I would date Taylor Swift.
Like, who wouldn't? I would if it helped my career, I would date Taylor Swift. Like, it would. But
Show tickets have skyrocketed 40%.
Yeah, you're like, every show sells out now. No,
they're just 40%.
I just think that there's a bigger plan behind some of what she does, because
sure, I mean, definitely. But she also wasn't she dating that guy who was like they were saying was like a neo-Nazi and stuff, like right
isn't
before?
That Joe Alwyn?
No, I don't know.
I don't know which guy it was, but yeah. And so, but my point is, I think that
at least she does something.
Has really sold her image without selling her soul, because I think that the reason that people do really end up liking her is she is kind of just herself. But I think if you watch her documentary, especially, like, she's a little boring. Like, the documentary's cool because you kind of see that she is boring. It's not like some of these other documentaries where you watch Lady Gaga and you're like, whoa.
Love Lady Gaga.
Like, I do too, but like, you're just like, whoa, like, she's eccentric. Like, Taylor Swift is not eccentric at all.
I think that's why that is why people like her, because
you run the risk of her falling off the face of the earth because she's too boring. I don't think she
runs the risk.
But you're not seeing the full media picture.
Maybe.
Like,
I'm sure.
I've worked in marketing for a long time.
I'm sure she's clearly a shrewd operator. She brought $300 million or something to Los Angeles with her concerts.
That's crazy.
She's a shrewd operator.
So you don't think they'll end up living together?
I don't even know what that means at their level of wealth. Because, like, I feel like saying living together means you get rid of your apartment and move into their apartment.
Okay. All right, different question. How long do you think Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift's relationship will last?
Let's go 6 months.
6 months. Okay, I'm gonna give it a year.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it a year. We'll get to opening.
She's
opening
better than her
weekend
Kardashian.
of football next year.
She at least does something.
Yeah.
At least there's like talent
Well,
behind
let's see
it.
in 20 years where everybody's at, and then we'll.
People love her music. What do they love? The Kardashians reality show?
I mean, I do. That's the only thing I like about the Kardashians is the show. I'm like, you don't have to do all this other stuff.
Good
but
trashy show.
on that note, we're gonna wrap this up. Tell everybody into that camera where they can find you on the internet.
You can find me at the Edelmeister, although I might be trying to change that soon, on all platforms, as well as JoshEdelmanComedy.com. You can watch my documentary, Mentally Al, currently streaming for free on Tubi. You can watch Best Friends web series on YouTube. You can listen to my podcast, The Drew Rogaine Experience, anywhere podcasts are listened to. That's all, I think.
And nobody can watch your hour yet, but they will be able
and
to
then
soon.
Hopefully I'll be recording my hour in December and put that out somewhere before February.
And will you be recording it in LA?
It's my plan.
Okay, so if you're in LA, you want
So
to
if
come
you're in
see
LA
a
and you laugh, come to my show.
If you don't laugh, don't
I don't want
come.
anyone. I don't want anyone coming to like bitterly watch how I
Yeah.
do.
On that note, I probably won't be there because I'm a horrible audience
yeah.
member.
Don't come. Don't
No,
come.
I'll come and stand backstage. But you can find Room for Rent Podcast at Room for Rent Pod on all the platforms, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and beyond. You can find me at Maria Bruggere, Bruggere, on all those same platforms. And then my YouTube, where the podcast lives, is Maria Bruggere, as well as Spotify, Apple, and SoundCloud. So tune in, share, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and we'll see you next time. Bye.